Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 70 of Lonely Gods. I'm your host, David Reinhardt, and I'm joined here, as always, by Kate Riley.
Oh, hi. I've been sick. I probably sound weird.
I've been sick too, so I might sound weird, but lovely.
Yay.
Um, in episode 70, we're talking about Terror of the
We
Zygons.
hit 70 already. Oh, yeah, we did too. Oh,
Yeah,
because we made 69 jokes last time. That's right.
we made, neither of us were super happy about making 69 jokes, but you feel obligated, like, it's
Yeah, because
expect
being 12 never ends, really.
yeah, it's expected of you, and you expect to do it.
Yeah,
It's
I
kind of
mean,
your reward and your curse for getting that high in numbers.
I was sort of tempted to like put something Nintendo-ish in the banner for 64, and then I realized it wouldn't make any goddamn sense, and it's irrelevant anyway.
You also sent me a very creepy image of John Pertwee for no reason the other day.
Making a stupid face.
I woke up and it's like Kate sending me messages. What's going on? Like, because you sent it in the middle of the fucking night too.
Well,
It was in the middle of the night for you as well.
yeah, probably. It was probably like 1 or 2 in the morning.
Yeah, but
That's like getting ready for bedtime for me, though. I'm quite a night owl, so.
it's just John Pertwee making a really weird and creepy, stupid face. But yeah, we're here to talk about Terror of the Zygons, the season 13 premiere.
Yes, and oddly, the very, very last complete story to be released on DVD.
Really?
Yeah, this only came out fall of last year on disc, so
Holy shit.
yeah, it's weird because I mean this is generally regarded as a good story, as kind of a favorite for many people, and
Really?
yeah, and if they were on the wagon since the beginning, they had to wait like a decade and a half to get this fucking DVD. It's kind of ridiculous.
I'm actually really curious to hear what you thought of this story overall.
Oh, well, actually, the DVD has an extended version of episode one. Haha. It's only extended by a couple of minutes, and it has a bit of a longer beginning where you see the TARDIS materialize and the Doctor turns it invisible. And sort of they have a little conversation that, oh, look, we're in Scotland, and hey, I've got my tam o' shanter and my tartan, and I'm dressed for the occasion. Isn't this lovely? And then the normal episode beginning um, continues on from there. It kind of sucks. It's too bad that they lost that scene because it's a really nice little character scene between the Doctor and his companions. And the reason they cut it wasn't even for time. They felt the invisibility effect didn't work the way they wanted it to, but it looked fine to me. I think they should have left it in in
Oh,
retrospect, but. I don't. I mean, I don't think the one you watched would have had that in because you don't have the discs.
no.
No, so well, you missed out, I guess, on like 45 seconds.
S- Yes.
Anyway,
So yeah, so this episode is yeah, the Doctor, Harry, and Sarah Jane land in Scotland, and Scotland is currently under siege, under an invisible enemy siege by the Zygons as they try to take over the world.
like
What?
Pinky in the Brain.
Like Pinky and the Brain.
Excellent. Okay.
They're like disgusting versions of the tentacles from but with legs and arms from Day of the Tentacle with faces.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I thought they reminded me kind of like of prawns because they're sort of curled.
Except but they don't
Um,
have any like pincers. They're like a giant tentacle.
no, but I was thinking more the shape that they end up in, like when you cook them.
Oh yeah.
um, yeah, I actually like them. I think they're
Oh, I
a
like
pretty
them a lot
decent
too.
costume.
And
And
I actually
also,
thought this
the,
episode was really well done.
I think so. And I mean, part of the Zygons plot is that they're have a shape shifting technology and they're like infiltrating uh, various key positions and sort of impersonating people. And it made me think that, like, my God, I don't know why the new series even bothered to invent the Slitheen, because the Slitheen fucking suck. Why did they just use Zygons? It
Because
would have been
Rosie
so.
Davies wanted to make a new creature.
Yeah, but the Slitheen are so like they're little chubby baby things, and they look like ET got very sick, and they fart, and it's really just juvenile and shitty. And honestly, like for the exact same like story function, you could have just used Zygons instead.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fuck the Slitheen.
So,
So,
do you have any more thoughts?
well, I have a lot of thoughts, but I thought you were gonna elaborate on the plot a little
Are we
bit.
going to walk through the plot?
You don't have to, but I mean, I suppose we could expand on what you said. Is that the the Scottish like offshore like oil rigs in the loch in the North Sea and stuff are being attacked by some giant weird animal that turns out to be the Loch Ness monster, which is under
Yeah.
the Zygons' mind control.
It wasn't.
Which
It's not a
which is
Loch Ness
actually
monster, right? It's like it wasn't a giant.
it's called a scaracin, but it's meant to be the Loch Ness monster. Like that's supposedly what it actually is.
Oh, I thought
Uh,
it was supposed to be like an alien creature that they brought.
well, it is, but they brought it like centuries and
Oh,
millennia
right.
ago,
Yeah.
so it's been in the loch the whole time. Which is actually there's a nice callback to that in School Reunion where Sarah Jane and Rose are arguing and trying to one up each other. Sarah Jane's like, yeah, well, I saw the Loch Ness monster,
Oh, yeah.
and that's actually what wins the fight, I think.
And it's man, this story is really good. Like, it's a really well done story.
I think so too.
I just
It's
I don't know why, but for some reason I just don't find it that remarkable. Like it was a
hmm,
I was watching it and I'm like, this is a really good story. I couldn't get into it for some reason. Like I knew I would should be liking it. I just didn't. I thought it was okay.
weird. I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a lot of fun. And I don't know if it'll be one that's in my very very favorites. I don't know like if at some point I feel like I want to watch some Tom Baker, I'm probably going to choose something else. But
Yeah, that's the thing.
um,
I feel like it should be more remarkable to me than it is because it is a really well done, well constructed story.
yeah,
But
I mean it's definitely worth. I
we've
mean
just
it's not amazing, but it's definitely very very good. It's
yeah.
there's like practically nothing wrong with it that I can see. They were a little bit hard on the effects and the commentary. I think they weren't entirely pleased with how that worked out for them, but I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, and I like that the spaceship and it was a cool story. Yeah, but I like the whole thing with the Loch Ness monster and how it had that channel so it could go out to the ocean.
There's a lot of memorable moments in it, um, but yeah, I mean it's I wonder if it being as fun as it is a result of the fact that it was supposed to be a season finale, but the scripts came in 4 months late, and they cut the order from six down to four. So maybe having it a meant to be sort of a send off episode, and b like six episodes worth shrunken into four kind of gave it a good pace. Like there's not a lot of fat on this one,
No, not at all.
which is very good.
It's certainly way better than the last story we watched.
Oh God, yeah. Revenge of the Cybermen is probably the worst story since like Claws of Axoth. It's the worst one in quite a long time.
It was so bad.
It's really not good, but this one was, and I mean part of the reason it was moved isn't just because it was late, but I mean they wanted to lengthen the gap between making the shows and broadcasting the shows because and running fall to spring instead of winter to summer because I think that by the end of the previous season, like the episodes were getting done like the week before they went out, which was kind of ridiculous. So,
For sure.
but I mean, there's some concern the effects would be too difficult to achieve. But I liked the shape shifting effect. It looks
Me
really
too.
good.
It does look really good.
Um, It's a very good use of CSO, and that's one thing I have noticed since Barry Letts left and Philip Hinchcliffe took over as producers. There's a lot less CSO, and generally when they do use it, it works really well. And
Okay.
shape shifting is one of them. Yeah,
What's CSO?
color separation overlay, aka blue screen.
All right, then. See, you gotta explain this for the audience.
Oh, well, I thought they'd know that if they've been following along, but it doesn't really matter. Ha ha ha, I don't care. That's what CSO is. And the Loch Ness Monster itself, I think I liked the way it moved. It wasn't especially realistic, but for the first time ever, they used stop motion, and it looked like an old Harryhausen movie. And I love stop
Oh
motion.
yeah, yes,
That
no,
was
that was
so good.
awesome. I loved that. I love stop motion too. Like I forgot about that. That was so awesome.
And I mean, they did a lot of good stuff with like superimposing the stop motion Loch Ness monster as it's coming up on land and chasing the Doctor, and they've got it all in perspective actually pretty well. They have the Doctor and the monster and other like normal sized characters on screen at the same time, and then like they figured it out how the monster looks like it's big. It doesn't look like it's just a background plate, which is nice. And the stop motion animation, I mean, it's a bit jerky and it's a bit artificial, but I mean, it is stop motion, and for whatever reason, I just like the way it looks.
But who cares? It's all yeah, it's awesome.
I really enjoyed it. Um, although, I mean, the one bit where I think it doesn't work quite as well as it could is when it near the end when it pops out of the Thames in London and it's like a little hand little hand puppet coming up out of the river. It's a bit not good, but it's whatever. I don't care that much. It's still fun.
Yes, for sure.
Um, so I mean, it really just it looks really excellent, and I'm pretty impressed with how they managed to achieve the Loch Ness monster. And I mean, it seems like kind of like they took what they learned with the Drashigs and then made it better,
Yeah, pretty much.
I guess. Um, yeah, you're a fan of like old shitty stop motion, right?
Yeah, yeah, I am.
I would like to see that style of effect used more in Doctor Who. I think they could. Well, I mean, classic Doctor Who. They wouldn't need to use it now, obviously, but I think it could be used to great effect. I hope they keep at it.
Me too. We'll see.
Anyway,
We'll see what happens in Planet of Evil.
we'll see. What else do you have to say? I have other things to say. I don't know if you
I
want
want to hear
to
more.
elaborate. Oh well, um,
That's the thing. That's what I was trying to explain. I don't really have a whole lot to say because it just like I
well,
said, it should. I feel like I should like it a lot more than I did, and I just kind of
I think Ian Marter's like really good in this story, like as a performance.
Harry.
Harry, yeah.
Yeah, no, Harry's wonderful,
Like
especially because like
the,
with
well,
the
blah,
Doctor
blah,
gets
blah.
taken prisoner and
Yeah, he's taken prisoner and swapped out with the Zygon like shapeshifted clone, and he's like his performance with that, like he's really fucking scary. Like Sarah Jane chases the fake Harry into a barn, and he's trying to fucking kill her with a pitchfork. It's kind of fantastic. Like he's really intense in that scene.
yes, and that scene was really good. Like
Really good. And I'll admit, maybe I'm an idiot, but I'll admit, like when the real Harry at the beginning, he got shot by the fucking cloned Zygon fucking Highlander right in the head. I was like, oh god, did they just kill him? I don't know why I believe that. I fucking should know better by now. But I didn't. I was genuinely concerned. It's also kind of unusual for Doctor Who to have a character just like shot in the face.
yes,
So I don't know. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why it wasn't fantastic. But what else did I have to say? Not a whole lot. Um, Actually, yeah, the production team was so unhappy with the monster effect that the story was originally going to be entitled "The Secret of Loch Ness," but they changed it to Zygons because
They
they
changed
wanted.
it to the identical framing of an Auton name.
Yeah, well, I mean, they changed it because they wanted to take the emphasis away from the Loch Ness monster and put it more on the Zygons because they were more confident in the Zygon effects than they were with the Loch Ness stuff.
That's so
Um,
lame.
that's a little bit lame, but they seemed really like unsure of themselves, and even in the commentary, they're still kind of like not entirely pleased with how the the monster turned out. But
Hmm.
yeah, I can't yell at the screen. Also, in that fucking commentary, the writer for this kept on saying that the mystery of the lock has never been solved, but it fucking has, because Buddy, who took the fucking picture of it, said it was a hoax. Like he said
Yeah.
outright, "I took this picture. It was a hoax." Like, how much more clear cut do you want? I mean, of course, the writer of this is like 175 at this point, so I mean, maybe he hasn't caught up to developments of decades ago. But it kind of made me grind my teeth a little bit.
What was I listening to where they were talking about stuff like that?
Where shit's been like debunked and people still
Oh, I
believe
think it
it.
was Laser Time. Yeah.
Uh,
There's like it really sucks that after the '90s, like as soon as we got high def video, everyone realized it's all bullshit.
yeah, I used to actually watch like on TLC or Discovery Channel like all those like UFO shows, the
Yeah, me
Sasquatch
too. I
shows.
love that stuff.
I
And
mean,
now
I don't think I ever really believed in it, but
no, but it was super cool that it was like, well, maybe, and now it's like, no, no, there's no maybe for these. Like maybe some of the stuff is real, but there's no interesting stories. Like lunatics creating interesting stories anymore.
well, I don't know about that. I mean, like, there's a sort of similar things happening, like with the anti-vaxxers. Like the study, all their fucking hysteria is based off of was found to be fraudulent, and it was debunked years ago, and people are still
Yeah,
still thinking that vaccines kill people.
yeah, except that yeah, but it's like scary shit. That like we
It is
replaced
scary
fun
shit. Look at
story.
all the
We
measles.
we replaced the fun stories with really scary shit, and that's what
Yeah.
sucks.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I mean, there's still like urban legends and shit out there, but like it's not always. I think people are better and better at recognizing what's probably fishy and what isn't, especially like with the internet. Because like not only could you look up and find the information for yourself if you're so inclined, but if you post something to Twitter or to Reddit, uh, wherever, um, you can you can kind of crowdsource people's bullshit detectors. You know, pretty much any sort of like mysterious happenings post on any sort of blog or website, the comments are going to be people fucking being like, no, this is bullshit. This is why this doesn't work. And sometimes they're right and sometimes they're wrong, but it does mean that people have access to like dissent more, and yeah, it's people are more connected, and I think it's easier to sort of band together and figure something out. And I love weird stories. I love creepy stories, and I mean, I don't really have any belief in the supernatural or anything like that, but it's fun.
It
Um,
is. It's so fun.
and I'm very, very good at allowing myself to get very scared. I don't know why, but like I think it might have been because like when I was really little, I wasn't allowed to watch anything like even remotely like horror related. I had nightmares because of Goosebumps books, and like anything remotely scary was banned after that for like ever. Um, so So I don't know. Maybe I haven't built up a tolerance to it, but I love Silent Hill, but I'll play those games and then spend the rest of the night awake and terrified, especially if there's sirens going by, because it's like, oh God, why? Um,
I wish I could do that.
or stumble on like creepy bullshit stories on Reddit or something, and it'll be like 3 in the morning, and I'm reading this fucking thread about banging in the walls and demon voices. I can't go to sleep now. I'll have to turn on the lights and make a light trail to the bedroom. I'm a wuss, in other words.
So, Terror of the Zygons. Good story.
Terror of the Zygons, very, very good story.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. So say goodbye to Harry. Because,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
the end of Harry's tenure as a companion. He elects to stay on Earth. We will see him once more later in the season as a guest, but his time in the TARDIS has come to an end, I'm
I
afraid.
I really like Harry. I'm sad.
Yeah, I'm sad too. And I mean, the purpose the character was dreamed up for didn't come to pass because they thought that they might hire somebody older again, like William Hartnell was, and they wanted to have an Ian to do all the action oriented stuff, but Tom Baker turned out to be fairly young and definitely in shape to run around and all that stuff.
But I don't, I like the
But
male companion dynamic, and I'm just sad that that's gone.
well, I like Harry's dynamic as well. I don't think we get another companion again until Adric, and Adric's a little wiener. Um,
I mean, but
so
the thing is too is Sarah's really awesome. Like I can't be too sad because it's not like Harry left and we're stuck with someone else that's not as good. But because Sarah is really awesome, but I really liked Harry too. I liked them both together.
yeah, I don't. I think that getting rid of Harry might have been a bit of an overreaction because I don't. I think he fitted in with the other two of them well. I think they all had a very good dynamic as a trio,
Yeah,
and this. I mean, I don't really feel like most of the time Harry always had enough to do. I think, like Robot, not always, but I mean he was new. But like after that, I feel like it really picked up for his character, and he had enough stuff to justify keeping around. I thought, but yeah. Another thing is this is the last we see of the Brigadier for 7 seasons.
wait,
By the way.
what?
Yep, that's
Why?
the end. Uh, well, I mean, because they wanted to move outside of Unit. They wanted to start using Unit less and get back into space more and stuff like that. And the plan was to sort of, do Unit as like a once a season type thing.
But 7 seasons?
It ended up just not working out, and eventually it kind of faded away. Um, we will see Unit again, mostly Sergeant Benton, later this season. But Nicholas Courtney had taken another job; he wasn't available to be the Brigadier in that
Oh,
story, even though the Brigadier was written to be in that story. And as a result, it kind of just people weren't available. It was sort of one thing
didn't
led to another, and eventually it's 7 years later, and Peter Davison is the Doctor. We'll finally see the Brig again.
I
So,
didn't? But didn't you tell me that Tom Baker and Benton hate each other?
um, yeah, Tom Baker and John Levine aren't the best of friends, really. Tom seems to be of the opinion that John Levine is a freaking doofus, and kind of has a lot. I don't know if it's so much John Levine himself or Benton the character, but there's a lot of sort of contempt from Tom about it. And on John Levine's end, I think he resents Tom for Unit being phased out of the show because once Tom took over, Unit started getting, it was the end of an era, and Unit was used less and less. And to be honest with you, I don't think John Levine has much of a career outside of Benton. So um, I feel like there's a bit of sour grapes there. And I wish they had stuck to the plan and kind of done Unit as a once in a while thing, but you know, especially like when you are doing an Earth story. I mean, it'd be fairly easy to work Unit in, but for one reason or another, it never really happened. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'll miss having the Brigadier around, and I think Android Invasion later in the season is probably the last we see of Sergeant Benton at all. I think um, the Brigadier pops up here and there up until I think the very end because he does turn up in Battlefield with Sylvester McCoy. So, but it'll be pretty few and far between, I think, which is unfortunate. But I mean, Zygons more or less is kind of the end of the Unit era for all intents and purposes.
Right. So you ready to talk other Doctor Who stuff?
If you have things to say, sure.
So first, I've seen 2 episodes of the modern series since we last recorded, and both of them were absolutely fantastic.
Were you? I saw this retarded guy at the grocery store who looked exactly like Peter Capaldi, and he kept like staring at me. Not like a normal stare either. He was doing like the Clockwork Orange stare, where his head's down but his eyes are looking up at you, and it's like, Doctor, are you okay?
Nice. Um, but yeah, it's that Peter Capaldi has been nothing but awesome.
I wish I had something to contribute to the conversation.
I wanted to say more, but I don't want to spoil anything.
Oh, well, I saw a new series too. I'm finished the David Tennant era now, and we had a fight about it because I didn't like the first part of End of Time very much, and I didn't like what they did with the Master very much. But part two was really good, and that seemed to calm me down. So I actually ended up buying a new TV specifically to watch it. My TV that I had for like 5 or 6 years now crapped out, and like the entire like power board of it was fucking fried. So there was no choice but to get a new TV, and we had planned on watching End of Time that night, and John's like, no, we're not fucking letting this stop us. So that very same night we went out and got this great big new like 40-inch Toshiba. It's like we're gonna fucking do this.
Nice. And
Uh,
the time is fantastic too. Like it is so good.
the second part is well pretty good. I like my two complaints were I don't like what they did with the master. They made him like I know he's supposed to be crazy, but they made him like too Daffy Duck, I think. And I mean,
I like it.
I ended up like in tears laughing at the fucking stupidity of it. When I think it's in part one where like the master and the doctor are like in that sort of like junkyard shitty area talking to each other, and the master like makes this big grandiose speech of like crazy nonsense, and then like flies off into the night with like lightning. And it's just the stupidest thing I've ever
I
seen.
enjoyed it.
It's fucking dumb. I wish they had made him like a little. I mean, you can he can be crazy, but I wish they had been like more serious with it. His nuts insanity. But
Um,
whatever. And I also didn't really like David Tennant's little farewell tour because it was just weird that he's like, oh god, the regeneration's starting, and then there's like 15 more minutes of show, and he goes around and says goodbye to everybody, and he
I
looks
thought it
fine.
was touching.
It was touching. It was emotionally, it was very satisfying. But like, I don't know why they wouldn't have like had him made like they should have just made him look like shittier and shittier with each
Yeah.
visit, you know? Because like otherwise, it's like, why do you need to regenerate? You're fine. Because I mean, like other past doctors have like held off regeneration for a few minutes to finish what they needed to finish. But I mean, that's different when you're in like a crisis situation and you can resolve something within a few minutes versus taking what seems to be a pretty leisurely trip around the cosmos to say goodbye to people. Eh. I mean,
I
it would have required one line of dialogue to be changed. Instead of "Oh God, the regeneration starting," it should be "Oh God, I'm irradiated, I'm dying," and then he looks shittier and says goodbye, and then it's like oh no, the regeneration, and then you just go and he turns into Matt Smith, and like the logical problem would have been solved, and you still get your emotional like satisfaction.
yeah.
So
I also listened to Zagreus and I've almost finished Scherzo.
I didn't know you started Scherzo.
Yeah, I've been taking my time. I haven't listened to more than one episode a day.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, it's been fun. I've been enjoying it.
That's kind of how I listen myself. Actually, is usually an episode at a time.
So,
However long the episodes may be.
Zagreus is fucking awesome.
I really like it.
It's it's one of the first times I've heard a one of the really weird stories for Doctor Who carry on for so long. Like they're usually only an episode or two long, and if they're longer than that, it's generally not very good. Like
Well, it's as if they're longer than that. Generally, they turn into something like more
they
stable.
they
You
either
know?
turn into something stable or they don't work.
Right. But this one, I mean, it stays very weird for quite a long time. And it's really sort of dreamy, and you're kind of drifting from one thing to the other, and it's sort of odd. And there's a lot of past companions and past doctors in it, but they're not playing their normal roles, so it's familiar
No, and it's
voices but
it's
different context. And
cool.
it's weird, and I like it. I like it a lot. Most people don't. A lot of people are upset, um, which is unfortunate. But I think it's just a case of not getting what they expected. Because it is a 40th anniversary story, which means it will bring in a lot of people who weren't following along with the Eighth Doctor up to that point, which you really need to if you want to understand Zagreus. because I mean it's basically sort of a big payoff for all the plot threads that have been happening up to that point. Um, and it's not and despite the cover making it look that way, it's really not a multi-doctor story for the most part. And I think that's what a lot of people thought they were getting. Instead, they got something that was really like introspective and fucking strange. You know,
And I liked it because of that.
I liked it a lot too. But I mean, I can understand the dislike for somebody who's just popping in, isn't a regular listener, and is like, "What the hell is this?"
Oh, that's true.
You know. But I mean, if you've heard all the McGann like Charlie stuff up to this point, I think it's really really good. So and
Yeah, I
it's very
really
long.
like.
It's like 4 hours, I think,
Oh yeah,
total,
it's
three and a half,
crazy, and
four
it's
hours.
only three parts.
Yeah, each episode is something like 75 minutes, I think.
It was really good the whole way through, though. I really liked it.
I like it a lot too, and it definitely takes the Eighth Doctor series and
A
shoots it up in a
whole
totally
different
different direction.
fucking direction, and it ends in a really dark and fucking depressing place. And Doctor Who like never does that ever.
Not usually, no.
No, like it's really, and I really liked like when it ended. I was like, wait, was that really the like? Is that how it ended? Because it essentially ends. I mean, like I know we'll cover it eventually when we get to that point,
Hmm.
but it essentially ends with the Doctor being like banished to an alternate plane of reality because he cannot come back.
Well,
Like,
banishing himself in a way, because like
yeah,
he's corrupted with the Zagreus personality from like the anti-time or whatever, and that's the only way he can keep it under control and stay the Doctor is to go into this other universe that doesn't have time.
and that's fucking crazy.
It is crazy, and I was really pleased, when first listening to Scherzo that
They stuck
they
with it.
they stuck with it and they definitely delivered on the promise at the end of Zagreus. Um,
Yes.
Actually, another complaint a lot of people had with Zagreus was the all the "I love you" stuff coming from Charlie. A lot of people don't like even a whiff of affection, but I don't really mind.
I thought it made sense.
I think so.
And I think the way that they start handling it in Scherzo also is really interesting. It's just a really interesting character dynamic, and
Well, yeah,
it's
because like the Doctor's actually pretty fucking pissed at her. I think because he tells her to stay behind, and then she like stows away with him anyway. And he's
yeah,
like, "Well, you can't go home now. Why did you do this?"
yeah, and it's it's incredibly well written, and that's I agree. Like I don't really like the Doctor like companion romantic relationships, like no matter if it's given or receiving or anything. Like I feel like that shouldn't. It's unless it's really well written, and it is here, and so that's why it's really good.
Yeah, I feel between Zagreus and going into Scherzo, I feel like the relationship between those two has definitely shifted, and not necessarily for the more romantic. It's like things have definitely changed between them. It's not going to be like how it was.
Yeah, and I like that.
Um,
And I really like what I've heard of Scherzo. It's a really fucking interesting and really like dark and fucked up story too.
it's another one where they really like use Scherzo uses the audio format so well because for so much of the story, they're in what is this? Either they're blind or they're in what is essentially like a white void, you know, and using the audio kind of helps convey that feeling of like disorientation and not knowing where you are.
Yeah, and it's oh
It uses sound very well, I think.
fucking intense. I can't wait to hear how it ends.
I like it a whole lot. I think Scherzo is probably the best of the one of the best of these sort of like weird universe stories, and one of the best like uses of the audio format and some other things that like you couldn't really necessarily do on TV without making it look boring.
Yeah,
So good stuff.
I'm I'm just like I am loving this whole story thread so much. It has been so fantastic.
I really enjoy. I mean, because basically this whole thing kind of starts with Neverland, really,
Yeah,
and it's
this
just
is
been kind
it's
of
all a
continuing on.
continuation of Neverland.
Because it's not just you get Eighth Doctor and you get Charlie, but you get Romana back and you get Leela back for future Fourth Doctor companions we haven't talked about yet. But actually, I really like Leela near the end of Zagreus. she gets like shot in the shoulder and she makes this big grand speech of like, "Oh, I'm glad to have died by the Doctor's side," blah blah blah. And Romana's like, you're not dying." She's like, "Oh, we'll never speak of this again."
Yeah, it's oh man, it's just this, but just Scherzo just all like so it's one of those weird ass sci-fi stories that you don't get that often and that are like fascinating.
Yeah, I really like it. There's another one sort of in that same like really weird sci-fi fascinating vein coming up, Natural History of Fear. But I think you have Krita the
Yeah,
Kronan in between.
good,
But
good. This has
good
been
stuff.
super awesome. So I think that's just about it for us this week.
I think so. So closing words that to say with your face.
It's been a pretty good fucking week of Doctor Who for this show.
I think so. Yeah, I'll miss the brig.
I will fucking miss the Brig. I love he's so awesome.
Oh, how awesome is he in Zagreus too? By the way.
So good.
I
Because he's
love
not
these
it's not the
years ago.
Brig. It's
Well,
the TARDIS
it's the
in
TARDIS, but Nicholas Courtney's so good as the fake
yeah,
Brig.
but it's the TARDIS like cuz they do that. There's a Matt Smith episode where they do that too where like the TARDIS has form and it's way different but really good.
I like Nicholas Courtney and Charlie bouncing off each other because I think that's mostly where our fake TARDIS Brig spend the most of his time, and it's really cool. Zagreus needs more credit. And all the old doctors are good too, for the most part. I think Sylvester McCoy was a little bit too silly, but yeah, whatever. You learn a lot of Gallifrey backstory too, which is neat.
Yeah.
Anywho, next week is Planet of Evil. It's 4 episodes. It's an evil planet. It's a very generic title.
Yeah.
I remember it having really good sets. I'll see if I'm right.
Alrighty then. So yeah, that's it for us for this week.
That's it.
We'll be back.
Eventually.
Yes. Bye everyone.